Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel Made with Love. My name is Heather and today is day 3 of my 12 days of crafting. Can't believe that it's already December 5th. So we've got about 20 days till Christmas. So what I'm going to do today is, I wanted to do this last year. So I bought 3 of these funnel sets and a bunch of this ribbon. I'm just going to move the camera down so you can see what I'm doing. So I want to make these funnel trees. I've seen these on Pinterest quite a few years ago. And I have bought all the supplies to make them last year and I never got a chance to. So basically it's, let me just angle my camera a little bit better. There we go. Okay, so basically it's just you take the funnels and when you stack them from your largest, medium, and small, it kind of looks like a tree. So I'm just going to work with the bottom ones. And I'm just going to grab, I've seen people use like fabric, strips of fabric. I'm going to use this ribbon. I have this interesting ribbon. It's like a foiled ribbon. It feels like plastic, or not that, what is it? I can't think of what it, like aluminum foil type stuff, like the gift wrap stuff you can buy. So it's interesting texture to it and feel, and I got a whole bunch of these assorted colors. I've got 3, 6, 7 different colors, so I'd figured, just kind of figuring out what kind of a pattern I wanted to do. So I got this one, it's got this magenta and gold. I've got this one that's kind of like gold and like a pumpkin color. Another one that's, the copper and blue. This one's a little bit of the purplish and silver. This one is the gold and a red color. I got this one that's silver with the green in the middle. And I got this other one here, and it's a very light blue and gold. So I decided that for my first one, I was going to use this gold with the pumpkin color. So I'm just going to open these up. I got these at a thrift store quite a few years ago. I wasn't sure where or how much, and then I just took this one out of the wrapper, and so I guess I bought them at a thrift store for about 75 cents. For the big ones, probably a little bit less for the smaller ones. I don't remember. So I'm just going to measure, because this is a wider ribbon. I'm just going to do it like this. I've seen some people who do the fold, so you get the little double ribbon effect. But because of the type of ribbon this is, it doesn't really want to fold nicely. It doesn't look right. So I'm just going to keep mine in just the solid chunk. So I'm just going to measure. So I need to have it up here. And I need to come down just a little bit below. So to about there. So I'm just going to cut my first one. So it looks like it's going to be about 5 inches. So I'm just going to cut a bunch of these to fit this bottom one, and then I'll measure and see how long I need for the next group. So I will, I've got my hot glue gun plugged in, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a bead of, just going to make sure I get the back of the ribbon. Just going to put, I thought my glue gun was plugged in. It's plugged in. It's hot, but the glue's not coming out. Oh, there, now it's coming out. Just going to make sure I've got the back. I'm just going to put a bead of glue across the top. And I'm just going to glue this up here. So that's all I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut my 5-inch strips and just hot glue them on. I'm not quite sure how many strips I'm going to be needing to cover this bottom one. So I'm just going to measure and cut every 5 inches. I think I probably need about 6 strips. I'm kind of using my mat as a basic guide, but they're not perfectly, I mean, they're pretty close. I mean, just a little bit difference here or there. I don't think it's gonna hurt the project. Just line this down. I'm gonna do the next one. Just gotta figure out which is the top and which is the bottom. So again, or I mean the front and back, I mean, and just put this glue gun, just glue stick is stuck. It doesn't want to go through. There. Just gonna try that again. Just put a small bead of glue across the top, and I'm just gonna glue this right here on this side, and then I'm gonna glue one on either two sides, and I'll see how many more I need. But my glue stick does not want to stay in the glue gun. So I got 4 strips, so I guess it will take 8. Okay, it's going to take 8 of these to cover the whole bottom, maybe more. Well, I could just glue it underneath the flap so I get this nice looking thing. So I'm going to need a couple more of these strips, so I'm just going to finish gluing these first row onto here, and I'll be back when I'm finished that. Alright, so I've got all 8 glued on here. Now that I've done this one, I think I know how I'll change it so it'll look better for my next tree. I'm just going to turn this funnel upside down. I'm just going to press each one in. Like this ribbon here, because it's kind of like a foil, it kind of bends and stays in place. I'm just going to roll it all over into the inside of the funnel, just to give a nicer, cleaner edge here at the bottom. Now I will trim this excess off in a minute, but I just want to see how it looks so far. I'm kind of liking how it's looking. I know right here where it's got this little bulge is where the little holder thing is on the funnel. So I will try to hide that. I think now I'm making my first one. I kind of know how to do the next couple of funnels. So this is the next funnel. I will say, when you put this funnel on top of this one, it doesn't really give like a really nice tree effect. Now there was something about like this one here, the inside is smaller, so you see more of the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do all these separate, but what I've decided I'll probably do is, because I had some here, I'm not sure where I dropped them, I had some little cubes or squares of the floral foam, and I just put it on there so that when I put this one on, it didn't sit straight flush. It kind of held it up a bit. So that's what I'm planning on doing. I'm just going to move that. I'm just going to get to the next 2 ones. So the next color I wanted to use on this one here is this one. I'm just going to do a quick measure and see about how long I will need. Looks like about 4 inches. So I will probably need a few more. So I will probably cut about 10 for the next one. So I'm going to cut 10 strips of about 4 inches, and when I get that, I'll be right back. Alright, so I got the next group of them cut out. So I'm going to do the same thing, just put a bead of hot glue across the top. And I'm just going to glue them on here without ripping the ribbon. Now this one, because the other one I had done alternating sides and it was hard to overlap, this one I'm actually just going to glue them overlapping already. If that makes sense. This one's going to be about there. A strip of glue. Just hold it in place. Make sure that it overlaps the ribbon beside it. Get all the way around. And big thing, I think I'm going to just do the same thing I did before. I'm just going to flip it upside down. I'm just going to fold this ribbon over inside the cone. I'm just making sure that I've got all the edges covered. Pull it down because I don't want to tuck it underneath too much. So I do want to have it kind of loose. So I'm just going to see how this fits on here. It's starting to look like a tree, but I do like the idea if I can get this to be up a little higher, then you get two definite sections of the tree. So now I'm going to do the third section. I'm just going to grab this little piece here, just see. I guess I'll just cut some more 4-inch. So I'm going to do this part, and then I'm going to do this top part and separate one. So my tree, even though I'm using 3 funnels, I'm actually going to use 4 layers of the ribbon. So for the next layer, I wanted to, where did I put it? Oh, I wanted to use, I want to do this layer, right? I want to do 4 layers, so I'm doing the 2. So I got the gold with the burgundy. Now I'm going back to just the gold, well, the gold and orange and the gold and burgundy. So I'm going to go back to this one. So I'll need to do 4-inch strips. It's not going to take as many as that one. So let's see, how many did I cut out? I think I used 9 strips, but I'm still going to cut out, I think I'll still cut out 10 of these because I can always use them for something else. So I'm just going to cut out 10 strips. Well, that might be too many. Maybe I'll just cut out 8. I'm just going to cut out 8 strips of this at 4 inches. It's kind of nice that this ribbon is kind of like this foiled ribbon. It's got some wire in it, so it kind of helps hold it steady while I'm cutting. I've got these ones cut, and I'm going to grab the last cone. Same thing, I'm just going to put a strip of hot glue across the top of the ribbon and just start gluing. I'm starting to glue my first piece that I want to put on. I'm covering up the little handle of the funnel. I do want to overlap the strips so you don't see any of the white funnel. But, you know, I'm doing the best to make sure that it's all overlapping. And then I'll be making stars for on top of these as well. So I'm going to be making 3 of these funnel trees. One more. I guess I needed 6. I wasn't quite sure. I'd rather cut out more strips than not enough. And the same thing for this one. I'm just gonna fold it in. Just to make sure that it's all neatly overlapping. I know some types of ribbon you can't do this. This one's neat that I can actually do that. So I'm kind of like wrapping the funnel up with the ribbon. It looks like that. So I'm going to bring the other 2 pieces and set them on. See, now it's starting to really look like a Christmas tree. So now I'm going to do the last one. And I've got these strips, so it's these last ones, these are too wide, so I've got 3 of these strips left. So I'm going to fold and I'm going to cut these strips in half just to get, I can get around the top of this funnel a little easier. I've never made these before. Just thought it'd be fun to make. I got my strips cut out and just going to glue them on like that. Right here at the top, just so they wrap right around the top of the funnel. And they kind of come down. These ones I'm going to do like I had done the first time. So I'm going to do that side and I'm going to come across and do straight across from it. Just to get the first 2 kind of in place like that. And I'm going to do this side here. The other side, I've just got too much hot glue. Right there. Just making sure that it kind of covers and hides all there. So there was a few gaps in here. I've got this pulled out. I got that one pulled out. You can actually see the gaps in there. So I'm just going to cut these ones here in half. And just kind of glue these strips inside here to help kind of cover some of that white funnel. Just I don't know, just kind of stuck. The trigger just got stuck and I couldn't get the new glue stick to be added. Happens once in a while. I'm just going to lift these up. I'm just going to slip this underneath between each of the two other pieces. That's what I was doing before, just so the trigger just got stuck. The trigger will not move, so I'll be right back. Alright, I think I got the trigger unstuck, so I'm just going to keep lifting this up and just gluing these extra little strips underneath, just to kind of help hide a little more of the funnel. Trigger is stuck again. There. I've just got one more of these to glue in place. I don't know. See, the trigger is just got one more to glue. Oh, there we go. For some reason this trigger is stuck and I can't get the next glue stick to go in. So I'm going to have to do something about that in a minute. So I'm just going to take each one of these pieces and I'm going to curl them up. And then these other ones here, I'm just going to curl these other skinny ones up underneath as well. I can find them. Okay, there's the other one. So that one. And the last one. Now they're all curled up, and one little spot where I can see the white funnel, but I will just grab another little strip of the ribbon and conceal that. So I'm just going to put the funnels together. So there is the one tree. Now I'm going to go and do the other two trees, and then I will be back when I have all three trees done. Okay, well I've got all my ribbon cut for my next one, so I'm just going to go and do this again. Got my other hot glue gun here. Maybe I can work faster. So I'm just going to start to glue my strips on. This one, I'm going to try gluing these on again just a different way and just see if this makes it any difference. I'm just trying to figure out what's the easiest way to glue these strips on, because this one seems to be a little bit wider ribbon. So if I've got 4 across like that, and I think I can put 4 between them. So I'm kind of doing it like I did the first time, because I'm not making these like folded, like curved little bows almost, like that's how I've seen most people do it, but I just want to do just strips of ribbon, and I have this different ribbon, and so I just want to make mine a little different. You know, if you see things, you don't always want to make the exact same thing that other people make. You want to have, you know, like what works best for your decor. Like, watched a lot of farmhouse decor over the years, and I've made a few farmhouse things, but my house is not farmhouse. I love shiny things, so my style is like more of a glam kind of style, I guess. Okay. I do like the way that works, so much easier. I'm sorry, it's just very, very reflective ribbon I'm using. Same thing if I just fold this down like that and inside. And kind of get a really nice finished tree base. Just kind of let it flare out, so I don't really want it to like kind of go right under. I'm kind of like just pulling it out, so it kind of just touches the base. And yes, there's a few spots where I can see some of the little bit of the funnel right now, but I'm not too worried about that at the moment. I just want to get all my funnels kind of covered. So I'm just going to go to the next layer. So I've got a stack of these, so I'll save that for another one. Let's see, I think this is the next, oh, this is the next group that I need. So for this tree, I'm doing this one here. It's kind of like a bronze and the blue, and then the other layer is a red and gold. Kind of like the contrast of the really shiny bronzy gold versus the more of a matted, like standard color gold. So same thing, I'm just gonna glue these strips on here. The first one I was trying to cover up here, and I realized I don't need to pull the ribbon all the way up because I want it to come down, because I'm trying to hide this. When I put the top one on, it's going to cover that. So I'm going to do this kind of more like I was doing the first one. Just makes the more sense just to kind of do your first 4, so you get your spacing, and then you can just put the other pieces in between them. And remember, it's also on a rounded surface, so it's kind of hard to get like a perfectly lined up, or at least I'm having trouble getting it perfectly lined up, but that's okay, because once all the ribbon is on here, I'm just trying to make sure it's all like even coming around the bottom. So it doesn't really matter how even it is up here. I'm just going to do the next groups of 4. Sticking these in between each of those 2, and just overlapping all the ribbons. And if you can see that it's over too far, like this one I had over too far, so all I do is just have to slide it across and just try to even it out. Okay, so there's the second one. I'm just going to fluff it, or just kind of pull it down. Just kind of tuck it down using the base of the funnel to kind of just tuck it. And I'm just going to pull it out so it's not like scrunched right underneath. And grab the bottom part and set this one on top. I'm really liking how these are looking. These are totally different than anybody else's I've ever seen, which is kind of what I like when I craft. I don't like to make exactly cookie cutter of what everybody else makes. Now the next one will be this one. The next layer will be the blue and gold. So I'm just going to continue doing this one, and I still have one more set. So I'm going to make 3 of these trees. So when I've got the 3rd tree completely finished, then I will be back. Actually, for my last one, I decided to go completely different. I've got this burlap ribbon here. This one's got the blue snowflakes, and I've got this one here that has no pattern. So I've cut these snowflake ones into about 10-inch strips, and I'm actually going to fold this up so I actually get that. And I'm actually going to glue these on like I have seen everybody on Pinterest do. I do like having things different than everybody else, but I'm just curious as to how this will look because I've got two that are like really shiny and glittery, but I just like to try one that's just a little more plain looking for a contrast. It's going to look like that. So I'm just going to glue all these strips around. I don't know how many strips I'm going to need. I just grabbed two nearly empty rolls, and I've got two more full rolls, so I don't know how many strips I've cut. I don't know how many strips I'm going to need, so I'm just going to fold this, put a little strip of glue on here, fold it in half to get my loop, and then glue the loop onto the funnel. So that's what I'm going to work on with this last one. So I will be back when I get all my little loops glued in place. Alright, so I got my first few glued onto this bottom one. I've got, I think, 7 on here. Yeah, 7 strips glued on. They're about 10-inch strips, but I've got these gaps between here. So what I've decided, I'm just going to use this straight burlap here, and these ones I had cut to 8 inches? Yes, 8 inches. So when I fold it, I'll get about a 4-inch loop. What I decided to do is lift this up, and I'm going to glue the regular straight burlap underneath. So when it comes down, you'll get the plain burlap and then the snowflake burlap. So I'm just going to keep gluing. Now I'm going to glue the other strips of the regular burlap underneath the other ones. And so I will be back when I get this all finished, because I'm just going to use the same technique, the same 2 groups of ribbons. So when I put this one down, I'll put the snowflake on top, and then I'll be using the regular burlap to fill in any spaces for all 3 layers. So this tree is going to be pretty much the exact same with the same 2 colors of the ribbon. Alright, so here's my 3rd layer. So this one I'm just going to use the straight snowflake one. So I did 2 layers of them, and I've got white spots in between, so I'm just going to make my little loops and just fill in the gaps. My 2nd layer I did with the same as the first one, so I've got the bottom layer is just the straight burlap, and the 2nd layer is the burlap with the snowflakes. And then this one, I really like the snowflake, so I really wanted just to keep this top layer with just all the snowflakes. So I'm just coming in anywhere where you can see the funnel, just coming in either at the bottom or through the top, everywhere. So I'll probably end up with maybe 4 or 5 levels of the little bit of ribbon on this top one. And the top one, I think all my ribbon is cut to 5-inch, so they're all going to be about 2.5-inch loops. So like I said, I've got 4, I'll probably get about 4 or 5 levels, and I'll be back when I get this top one done. But here is what it looks like so far. So there's the first layer, the first funnel with the straight burlap and then the snowflakes, and then the 2nd funnel, same thing, which is the regular burlap and then the snowflakes, and the final one that has all, if I can just kind of lower my, it's really hard to see where the camera is, see? Okay, so you can see how I've really got, all layered up here. So I will be back when I get this layered, and I'm ready to finish off the top of all 3 with a star. Alright, so I've got my burlap tree done. Now up here at the very top, I ran out of the snowflake snowflake burlap ribbon, so I had to use just a few strips of just the regular ribbon. So now I've got my 3 trees made, and I'm ready to make the stars for on top. And for the stars, I decided I was going to use a piece of felt, and my felt is right here. Right here I've got some nice yellow felt, so I'm going to do some stars, and I'm going to cut them out. So I want a pretty good sized star, so I'm just going to go and grab my star-shaped cookie cutter, because I don't know where my star stencil is. Okay, what I have is some star cookie cutters. You make this cookie, and all these different stars, you get a Christmas tree cookie. So I just wanted to find the right size star for my trees. I think I'm going to use the second smallest one. It's a pretty good size, or maybe even that one. Although this one might be just a little too big for the size of my trees. It's hard to tell. So maybe I'll just make a couple different sizes. Set my cookie cutters down. I've got my felt, and I've got 2 pieces of felt because I want to make a star, and I want to kind of stuff it with some stuffing so it's got some like bulk to it. So I'm just going to set my stencil, or I guess my cookie cutter. Just going to set it down. I've got my little Sharpie pen here. And I'm just going to trace around the cookie cutter. This didn't really work very good. This Sharpie pen just seems to be snagging the felt and not leaving a line. So I'm just going to grab my other Sharpie. Okay, let's see if this one will work better. I think this one's working a lot better. Again, don't know if it's actually leaving like a solid line, but enough of a line that, yeah, when I lift it up, I can see right where the star is going to be. So I'm going to make 3 of these. Just going to move it away from the edge just a little more. I'm not very good at free-handing things. I mean, I can make a basic star, but trying to get it so that all the measurements look right, it's tricky sometimes. So, you know, just trace whatever you have. So even that one, it's not perfectly traced, but better than me trying to just freehand draw a star. The thing is, these are cookie cutters, so when I press them into the felt here, they're kind of leaving an imprint in the felt as well. I just need just the general shape of a star. I've got my scissors, so I'm just going to cut these out. So I have a basic star shape. That'll be a good size of star for the trees. So I'm just going to cut the other 2 stars out, and then I will be ready to start to sew the stars together. Alright, so I got my 3 basic stars here. So I'm just going to turn them around just so the blue Sharpie is actually inside the star if possible. If I can get these to line up the same way. That might be the tricky thing, is to figure out where they line up. Just gotta fix this one just so it's kind of a little bit, doesn't really have much of a point here, so I'm just gonna fix that, and that didn't really work. Now these There. I guess I'll leave it like that. It kind of looks like a star. So now I'm just going to grab my thread and I'm just going to stitch these. You could sew them on the sewing machine, but I'm just going to hand stitch them. I know I saw a few different techniques on how to thread the needle, and I've tried a few, but just sometimes it works, sometimes they don't work. Sometimes I find it easier to thread the needle, sometimes it's harder. I know some people can just lick their fingers and do this and they get a knot. I can't. I gotta actually wrap it around my finger like I'm tying like a shoelace to get a knot. I'm just gonna do it a third time just to make sure that the knots are all in the same spot. I'm going to cut off this extra little bit of thread, and I'm just going to start to stitch it. Decided I'm going to just do, I guess, whatever stitch this is called, where you're on one side and you just kind of pull through to the other side, and as you're pulling, you pull the thread through, so you kind of get the thread on. Oops, what did I do? Just got a knot in it already. And so I'm just going to keep stitching. Just going to go through from the one side to the other side, and then pull the thread through, so then the thread will be, just see, so I get the thread will be like on, get the nice thread on both sides, plus it'll have the thread will be along your seam. So I'm just going to do that with all three. I'm going to leave a little opening so I can stuff them a little. I'm going to use cotton balls or pillow stuffing. I don't know, I have to figure out what I have sitting here in my craft room. But on little projects like this, you know, cotton balls work really good. So that's all I'm going to do, is I'm just going to continue stitching up all three stars, and then I'll be right back. Alright, so I've got my stars sewn. Actually, what I did was this one, I wanted to test it out, so I actually got it stitched, and I stuffed it, and then I hot glued it onto the top of the tree just to see how it would look. So I've got this pillow stuffing here. I've got more than I'm going to need, but here, I'll do this one. Just going to kind of open it up a little bit. So I'm just going to put a little bit of this in. I really think cotton balls might work a little bit better, so it's a little smaller. I'm just going to make sure I get it stuff pushed right into all 5 points of the star as best I can without ripping the stitches. Now this one here, I've got to stitch these 2 sides, so I'm just going to leave the stuffing kind of tucked down, but I can pull it up as I stitch around it. And same with this one, I'm just going to add some stuffing. This one can use a little bit more because it's a bigger star. The 2 smaller ones, I actually used yellow thread, but on this big one, I actually used blue thread, so you get a nice contrast, just so it looks a little different. I'm just going to tuck this stuffing into all 5 points of the star. So now I'm just going to stitch these sides up, and then I'm just going to hot glue it to the top of my tree. Oops, just gotta figure what I did here. Okay, there. I'm just gonna go and just grab my thread. I'll do the blue one. That yellow one has got. Oops, I'm gonna have to do a little bit more sewing on that yellow one when went to stuff it, I actually split the seam. I'm just going to have to fix that one in a minute, but I will just quickly stitch this blue one. Yeah, I don't sew much, so I do like to just try to practice and just I stitch, the kids' clothing, my clothing, things like that. I've hemmed pants before, but don't do a lot of real sewing. So I just thought I'd really like to take this opportunity during the Christmas break here, like this Christmas season, to make some homemade ornaments. I think they're easy things to make for beginners. So I'm just going to keep stitching this all the way up. I think this stitch is called a blanket stitch. I don't remember because it's I think this is the basic stitch that is sewn along the most blankets. Just going to keep stitching it around to the point here. Get through both layers of the thread. I don't have my glasses on because just the glare from my camera and the little light I'm using just really bothers my eyes when I've got my glasses on sometimes. But this will really be better if I actually had my glasses. I can see just a little bit better. I'm just going to do a couple little finishing knots here. I'm just going to snip it off. I'm just going to make sure the stuffing is in all the little points. I've decided that this one here, because I did the extra blue stitching, I'm going to put it on the top of this one. So now I just got to figure out where it's going to sit, like that. So I'm just going to put a strip of hot glue right in here on the seams of, like I said, 2 points that would be down to the bottom. I'm just going to squeeze them in. So they're kind of on top of like that. So now my star is on top of this tree. Now I just have to go back and fix this one because I pulled the stitching out. So I'm just going to re-stitch this one a little bit. This one will take a little longer. So I'm just going to take a little longer piece of thread. And of course, having a bit of hot glue stuck to my hand still is making this thread stick to my hands as well. The only way I know how to tie the first knot is kind of tying like I do for like a shoelace or bows. Trim off the extra piece of thread, and now I'm just going to fix this where I pulled the thread. Kind of just try to get this stuffing actually inside. I don't want it on the outside of the star. Just gonna keep stitching around here. This is even harder to see the yellow on yellow. I think I just got a knot. Okay, got the knot out. Just gonna keep stitching all the way around these 2 sides. I don't want to pull it too tight. I'm trying to keep the star shape. So I find if I pull too tight, I kind of lose the sharpness of the star's edges, which is okay because they were kind of cut a little crooked to begin with. So it just kind of gives each star their own unique look. I'm just going to do my little end knots here. I'll just snip off the extra thread, and I've got a little bit of thread here from where I had started my other one. I've got my star made, so I'm going to grab the top of this tree, just figure out where the best placement of this star will be to kind of cover the top. I think right there looks good. Now for the top of this one, I think I'm just going to take a little chunk of this ribbon here. Got felt mouse glued to my finger. I'm just going to take a small strip of this. I'm just going to put it right across the top, just because of the way that the star is. It's not, you're going to still see the top of this cone. Just kind of fix that so it won't be so noticeable. Put the star. Okay. Put the glue on the two sides of the star and just glue it down into place like that. Like I said, I already glued this one just as a trial, just to see how it will work. So now I've got the tree tops all glued on with their stars. Now I'm just going to go set the trees up, and I'll be back to show you what they look like. Alright, there's the 3 trees that I made out of funnels and ribbon. Okay, I just want to say thank you again to everybody who's watching my videos and who has subscribed to my channel. And I guess I will see you in my next video. Thank you.